Trevor, what on earth are you doing there?
Well, look, at the start of any beekeeping session, the first thing to do is get your smoker going. That's what's going to calm the bees down and allow me, in this case, to take off the honey that they have been storing up. So, before putting on the bee suit or doing anything else, getting the smoker going is just best practice.
So Trevor, you've got your smoker in full operation, you've put your suit on, so what's the plan for today?
The plan for today is to take off these type of super boxes, as they're called. These supers sit on top of the brood box where the hive is living, and these will have been stored, these will have been filled with honey in the frames that are sitting in this box. So I'm going to leave this box behind. This is just to demonstrate what it looks like when we get down there. And the smoker is lighting. That'll be helpful to calm the bees, because I'm going to be essentially taking away their winter stores. We'll replace it with syrup, in other words a sugar food for them, which they can work away and happily survive. On the other hand, I have my hive tool. Because the bees stick things together with propolis, you need this hive tool if you're going to take things apart in beekeeping. So with that, we'll go down and take a look at the two hives. One is an established hive, the other is a new hive, so there are more supers on the established one. That'll explain why they're two different sizes. So come this way and we walk down through the orchard to the bees.
Okay, Trevor, lead the way.
Now here are the two hives. I'm going to go around the other side if you want to hang on there, and you can see what I'm doing. First of all, I'm going to just give them a little bit of smoke so that they get the message that well, it's a funny message that we're giving them actually. It's a message that there might be a fire in the forest, because traditionally they would have lived in trees. And if there's a fire in the forest, they get the message that we better move house and store up honey. And when they've honey on board in their crop, they tend not to be able to sting so easily, and they don't think about the beekeeper. They think about their honey. So that's the idea behind the smoker.
I've never been this close to a beehive before.
Well, you're probably at a decent distance there. I don't think they should bother you. These are a reasonably peaceful bee compared to some. In other countries they have more aggressive bees. So in Ireland we're fortunate enough. It's quite a docile bee, the black Irish bee. It's a native Irish bee. We'll just wait a few minutes now, because the smoke has to really kind of take effect and calm them down before opening up the hive. That's generally one of the things that I've made a mistake in the past, opening the hive too quickly before the smoke has taken effect.
Right, so are they sufficiently calmed now, Trevor?
I think they are. I think they're not sounding too aggressive anyway. That's one way to tell. I've taken off, the last time I was here 2 days ago, queen excluders. That's these racks here, and they have spaces in them which are wide enough for a worker bee to get through, and they're the bees that are going to be storing up the honey above here in the supers. But it's too narrow for the queen, who'll be slightly bigger body, and she can't get up, so there's no laying going on where the honey is being stored, and that's grand. Obviously you don't want eggs to be in your honey, so you keep the honey free from the queen that you're going to be using. So what I'm going to do is take off the roof. I'm going to start with the smaller one. This is a newer hive. This was a swarm. And we collected the swarm. Well, John Holland, in fairness to him, collected it from Malahide, and he gave it to me here in Balbriggan. So it's a local swarm. And when I take the roof off, I then have the feeder. This is where I put liquid feed, and I'll be putting liquid feed in here to replace the honey which I've taken off, and then take away the super, put it into a black plastic bag, and replace the feeder on top of the hive. I have to quickly take the super off. Oh, there's actually quite a lot of bees in there, so I'm not going to take that off yet, because I don't want to be taking home bees, I just want to take home the honey. So you see how the other side is.
Does that mean the smoke wasn't effective?
No, it means that they haven't bothered to go down to the colony and leave the honey alone yet. There's the feeder on top, so I'll take off the feeder so it can be replaced. Plastic bag here. Hopefully I can get the super into the plastic bag, minus the bees, hopefully. That looks clear. So it's a candidate for honey. You can hear the cracking as the propolis has to be cracked so I can move off. And there's quite a weight in this, so that suggests there's a good bit of honey.
A couple of bees around me didn't get any smoke. They're not very calm.
They're not very calm because we're taking their winter stores. Now, there's a good weight in this too.
So there were 2 supers in that hive, is that right?
I had 2 supers on that hive. It's a more established hive, so there's more bees in it to make honey.
And this box at the bottom, that's the brood box, is it?
What's left there is the brood box. That's where they'll spend the winter. They cluster together and stay warm. They create 35 degrees. Now, what I'll actually do is put a queen excluder back. Queen excluders are at the front. Now this will replace that. See, this is where the bees went through and couldn't get back. When they were up there making honey, they went down there and there's a tiny little metal spring affair. When they go through it, it's fine, but when they can't come back. So it's a one-way door for them. So what I'll do is quickly take that off, place it with the queen excluder, put the feeder on top of it, and then the roof. So we should see all the hive in here. There they are.
Okay, Trevor, what have you got there?
Well, I've got 4 litres of syrup. That's 2 parts sugar to 1 part water, and they're melted and creating a syrup there which replaces the food value of the honey that I've taken from the bees, and it allows them to work on that to create a substitute store for the winter. Their store is now going to be bottled in jars in the next few days. So we have a feeder, a box feeder, which means I can pour it straight in. There's a grid and the bees can come up and sup away on that honey, take it down below, take some of the water out of it so that it creates a consistency they can put into the combs for the winter stores. So full of sweetness. I see a wasp got in there already, and that's one of the things the bees will be looking, not just to defend their hive against humans or grizzly bears or whatever in history they've had to contend with. They also have to defend their hives from other robbers like wasps or indeed other bees from other colonies. So the next few days I'll come along and see how they're using that, replace it, or at least give them more, as the case may be, make sure they're not hungry for the winter.
And I can tell you for a positive fact, they don't like the camera.
New to them alright, but they're investigating. They are very curious. Roof is very important. It has to keep them dry. Bees can cope with very low temperatures, minus 35 degrees centigrade in some parts of the world, but they cannot cope with damp. So, especially in Ireland or any temperate climate, we need to keep them dry. That roof keeps them dry.
Not a good summer for them this year then?
A very bad summer for many beekeepers, because the queen couldn't get out long enough between showers to mate, and so there's been low numbers of bees in the hive, therefore low pollination, bad crops for apples and lots of other types of food. So we need our bees, we know that more than ever. We'll come back in a few days when I get time to extract the honey, but meanwhile that's the bees hopefully sorted for the winter.
Yes, I think we should leave them alone now.
We let them get back to their own life.